Hey, what a frustrating game of football. That game was such a boring game. And I think it wasn't boring because of tactical acumen or people doing crazy things. It was just boring because both teams were doing funny things, especially in the first or second half. Polokwane City looked a lot better in the first half, throughout the game. They had the more chances, they had clear chances, could have maybe gone 2-0 up at some point, but they didn't take their chances. But what frustrated me about Polokwane City was that I think if there's any team in the league that has an idea of how to put Manqoba Sundowns under pressure, it's Polokwane City. Because when they met in the first game, and yes, they lost, they found the key. The key was you hit Sundowns on a counter, two-man counter, you have Apolis, you have Chauke, and then because Abolibusa are slow, you get a chance to put them under pressure. There was a chance that Chauke got that was almost identical to what had happened the first time they met when he forced the red card from Onyango. Ball is played through, he ran at it, Onyango came out, doesn't quite have the legs, then he kind of played around with the ball and didn't score. So I think from the Polokwane City side, it was frustrating from that point of view, but I loved how positive they were. They came out and they pressed the Sundowns. They came out and they didn't allow Sundowns to play comfortably, especially with a rotated squad. So I want to give Coach Phuti Mohafe a lot of credit for this game. They were brave when they needed to be brave, and they were disciplined. Very, very disciplined in this game, especially defensively. So I think Polokwane City is well worth the win that they got here. And you know, you can't ask for too much more from Polokwane City. They took 3 points from Sundowns very early in the league. Let's see what's going to happen with the Pirates. When you speak about Sundowns, sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, you know, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abo Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, yeah, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, there's so many things. There's so many things. The biggest thing that you'll read from the Sundowns game, and I think the thing that shows you what type of game this was and how badly they played, is the two little stats that say shots on target and shots attempted. I believe Sundowns finished with 1 or 2 attempted shots and none on target. And why they were frustrating is that we already have some of these answers. Guys, Reyners cannot play as a 9. Reyners cannot play as a 9. He's not a 9 player. He's not somebody who's going to play a central role, drop back in and do all of that. He hasn't been. And up to this point, I had thought Coach Manqoba had realized that when he started playing him and Matthews wide. But for some reason today, Mamelodi Sundowns came into this game thinking, we're going to take Reyners and bring him inside. Then we're going to take Matthews and bring him inside. And we're going to have the attack coming from the left and right back. That is who's going to push up. Which doesn't make sense, because even when you push them up, besides Polokwane City being defensively very good, what are you going to do to them after that? Are you going to cross the ball? Are you going to cut it back when Polokwane City is crowding the box? And that is why you end up with a game where it finishes with you guys not having any shots, with Sundowns not having any shots on target. Sundowns has been playing, for some reason, even when they rotate, the players don't have a hunger. I think they took this game for granted and they thought that maybe they were going to be able to get something out of the game later on. But even in the rotated squad, you expect a little bit of hunger, a little bit of pace, a little bit of want to go play that game, especially from players who don't get a chance to go play. But it feels as though, man, they didn't take this game seriously enough and they didn't care for it, which is funny because that's an Orlando Pirates trait. But for me, one of the biggest things that I've spoken about Mamelodi Sundowns and what has played on my mind, even when they've been winning, you can watch the previous match reactions to hear what I've said. But essentially, Sundowns struggles with finishing off the last 30 minutes of the game. They make their subs, the subs come on, and for some reason, they break their structure. So I've said that I don't mind, it's not too much of a big deal when Sundowns has scored 3 goals in the beginning of the game, and then now they're going into that last bit, and Coach Manqoba and his team make those reckless substitutions that break apart the game. Marumo Gallant started playing at some point versus Mamelodi Sundowns. Chiefs could have gotten a draw towards the end of the game versus Mamelodi Sundowns. Royal AM scored late against Mamelodi Sundowns, but also could have scored another one. There was a header where it could have been 2-2. And now that takes your wins that you're talking about and it makes them losses. It makes them losses or draws, and it takes away whatever you've done. But the big question that I asked was, what happens in a game where you don't have chances in the beginning, where you don't have a lead, where you haven't scored, when you're having a tough go of a game? Can you hold out? And do you know what happened? Last 30 minutes of the game, Polokwane City manages to sneak a goal in. Manages to sneak a goal in versus the Sundowns that have seen how Polokwane City have played them before. So my frustration, I guess, with Sundowns right now comes from the starting lineup, because I have praised Coach Manqoba and I've said that, his rotation, the way he's rotating is so good because it allows a lot of players to be warm and it allows when you need somebody to come onto the pitch when something has happened. But now you're starting to see that maybe he recklessly rotated, in the sense that I don't see a game where Matthews and Reyners are going to play well without Ribeiro. Similar to how I don't see how Ribeiro is going to play well when there's Shalulile, when there's a Shalulile on the pitch and a Zwane or a Lodge. He doesn't play well when you move him out to the wing. Reyners, you can't move him center. So I thought in his rotation now, he'd be going, okay, I know the players generally that have chemistry, that understand each other. Let me leave them off and let's bring in a Sales to start this game. Let's bring on a Shalulile to start this game. Because we know that Polokwane City is most probably going to play with a lowish block. We saw it even in the first game that they played. Or let me not call it a low block, call it a mid block. We saw it in the first game that they played. Sundowns didn't get that much joy as they did. It was a tough game. Why? Because they didn't have space. So he couldn't play that football that now we know is Manqoba's football. They struggled. So why then in this game start off and play the exact same football that you knew you struggled with Polokwane? Then on the other side, the other question that we ask is about the actual depth of Mamelodi Sundowns. Do we have, or do they have players that can jump in and change the game? And I remember saying this when they were beating Marumo Gallant and the tennis match started, the 60th minute tennis match started, where I said, it's all well and good to bring in Abom Kulisi and to bring in those players and up the tempo, right? And now make it, man. You're now trying to up the tempo and maybe score 2 more goals or 3 more goals. But do you really need to do that? And are those players shining because the score was 3-0 first half? Is that why they're shining? But when you need them now and it's lit, will they be able to do the same thing without the momentum, knowing that when they've come onto the pitch, it's changed even how the opposition has played. The opposition at times has been more confident after those subs are made. So does Sundowns have players on the bench, a secondary team that can play a full-on football? I mean, even versus Royal AM, like I said, rotated-ish squad. Oh yeah, it was a rotated squad, and Royal AM could have made that 2-2. Royal AM. The nice thing that I'm seeing is that the teams are now pushing. Polokwane didn't sit back. They're not respecting Sundowns. Royal AM didn't respect Sundowns. Chiefs didn't respect Sundowns. Gallants didn't respect Sundowns to their detriment. But you're seeing teams now coming out and looking at Sundowns and saying, no, man, we can take you guys. We're not going to be frustrated like we were under Rulani. We might concede a lot of goals, but there's going to be chances we're going to get. So now Sundowns needs to go back and look at that. And it's not the end of the world. Sometimes you need results like this to remind you that no, something needs to be fixed there. So for me, Sundowns needs to look at their rotation policy. They need to make sure that when they're rotating, try rotate players that play well together. So if you saw the Royal AM game that the other guys were not playing well, play them, or the other guys were playing relatively well, play them together. Keep our Reiners with another squad. Maybe bring them in the second half, fine. We're also seeing how important a player like Ribeiro is. I hear a lot of questions being asked about Cirino, for example, at Kaizer Chiefs. Now we're seeing that Ribeiro is a very important player to that Sundowns team, to making them tick in attack. And maybe we've been glossing over the fact that Sundowns may not be very strong defensively, may not be very strong in the midfield, even when you bring in mokwena, who looked out of sorts again today, and again points to maybe he doesn't fit into the system that Manqoba is trying to play. Well done to Coach Pitso Mosimane. I think very underrated. He's one of those coaches that are going to go under the radar. You're not going to look at them and give them their props. But number 4 in the log, what they did last year after Coach Siema left was up and down, but he steadied the ship, and now he's showing that there's a gameplay. There's something you can do there. And what's amazing is that, you know, he's playing with Bo Cole Alexander in 10, guys. He's doing these things with essentially 1 star player or 2 star players with Apolis and Umatuludi. So well done to him. Well done to Polokwane City. Polokwane City beat Mamelodi Sundowns 1-0. Guys, I'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.